Welcome back to Yaffee Live. This is Talk Radio 102.3. I am Tennessee's voice of reason, Chattanooga's conservative conscience. Glad you have joined the show today. If you missed any of the show live, the podcast is up on the website, wgow.com, or anywhere you get your podcast. And it's Thursday. That means right now we speak with Brandon Lewis, who is the founder of the Tennessee Conservative Contributor. You can read all his stuff at tennesseeconservativenews.com. Brandon, how are you today, good sir?
I'm a little distracted over here, but I think I'm going to get through the call.
Okay, good. Okay, I was just making sure. Yeah, that's good. All right, so one thing you have on your site today, one story is Tennessee House Speaker. And I was talking about this on my show yesterday as well. Tennessee House Speaker removes all Democrats from committees for behavior during the special session.
Yeah, so this is something that we've seen Speaker Sexton do before, and it's his prerogative. I've watched him do it to conservatives who vote against his legislation, so it's been used on both sides of the aisle.
Okay, wow.
But we can all agree that what went down, I believe, in Nashville was ridiculous. It looked like I don't know, and many times it looked like a conclave of tribes. It was very uncivilized, people dancing on the tables, bullhorns, handing out earplugs, blocking, intimidating votes, things of that nature. And the truth is, like, you can't conduct business in government or business if it's disrupted. And so Sexton apparently has had enough of it and has stripped Democrats of all their committees except for those that are required by the House rules, which include the calendar and government operations committees. So he's making certain that these individuals have paid a price. How long this will go on for, if we will see that roll into the next session. Sometimes he does stuff like this, and then a few months goes by and he puts them back on committees. I've seen that happen before too. So we'll see what happens with this long term.
Yeah, and I got to say, I was a little bit torn on this because I agree with you. I mean, the actions were completely unacceptable. But I also hate making martyrs out of them. You know, in some ways it makes them a martyr, gives them more attention. And it's like, can we just ignore them? They're pretty much irrelevant anyway. It's almost like they want something like this to happen. So I have to admit, I'm just torn on it. I don't know what you think.
Well, the truth is, like we saw with the closing the primary votes, where we had those 9 Judases vote with Democrats. The only time Democrats have the ability to pass legislation or block it is when, in most cases, not all, but in most cases, when rhinos join them. So they're basically just there as window dressing the entire session, unless there's conservative legislation that rhinos want to kill. And there are some bipartisan pieces every once in a while that both sides vote on, and it makes a significant difference, but it's very rare. So whether they're on the committees or off the committees, the truth is it's largely ceremonial in the Tennessee House. So I think this is more of a public reprimand and perhaps to needle them a tad, but I don't see that it will create any functional difference in how the House operates.
Yeah, that's a good point. You're right. It's just, to send a message more than anything. Speaking of Brandon Lewis of the Tennessee Conservative, now we know that the protests were all about redistricting. The special session was all about that. And now Democrats are trying to sue over this, correct?
Yeah, and there are. I think it makes sense for them to sue because they could get some kind of relief. The NAACP filed a suit alleging that the governor did not properly state the purpose of the calling of the session, so they're taking an administrative tack. Meanwhile, Justin Pearson and Congressman Steve Cohen have filed a suit arguing that the special session came too close to the election, and there may be some disenfranchisement of military and overseas voters, and perhaps there are some things that would not allow the election to proceed properly. And then finally, ACLU is taking the racial angle, essentially saying that Black residents no longer have an opportunity in Tennessee to elect even a single congressman. And as this is unfolding simultaneously, we have 2 Republican lawmakers, both who are rather conservative, and it always makes me mad when I see 2 conservatives run for an open seat because typically what happens is the Rhino ends up getting in, but you've got Brett Taylor and Todd Warner. We saw that exactly the same in the seat recently up near Nashville, where we had conservative candidates fighting against each other, and we got a less conservative COVID czar in Congress. And so we'll see what unfolds with this as it goes on, but we may hear something from the Tennessee Supreme Court. I'm not certain what they'll say or how they'll rule.
No, I'm guessing you're saying Brent Taylor is one of those.
Yeah, Brent Taylor's very conservative. Todd Warner's very conservative. I would think Brent would likely have a leg up simply because of two reasons. Number one, he likely can raise more money, and he is from Memphis, and he has done a lot for Memphis. He's been an advocate for Memphis. So in that regard, I think he's probably got a leg up. But Todd Warner has never been afraid to stand up to the establishment and speak out. And Todd's one of those, I think, if I'm not mistaken, who has had the privilege of being removed from a committee because of opposition to votes before for being conservative. So it's a weird little mix there, but I hope that they don't split the vote in there. I would love to see Todd or Brent in there, either one. But as long as we don't have a sneaky, establishment candidate that goes in there and spoils it.
Yeah, I tend to think Brent Taylor's got huge advantage, not just because of what you said. He's got major endorsements. Todd Warner is trying to say that he's the anti-establishment candidate, kind of what you said. But I don't know. It's going to be hard, I think, to frame Brent Taylor as Mr. Establishment. So Mr. Rhino, because he doesn't have that record. I mean, he's getting an endorsement, so I guess that's more establishment, but I don't really see that sticking this time.
No, he does not have the kind of record that makes it easy to stick, and he has been so outspokenly conservative about cleaning up Memphis and also holding the DA there accountable on a variety of other issues. He's been effective. And so that's one thing you have to look at. Some conservatives, you can be conservative and be effective. You can be conservative and be sidelined. But it's hard when you're a conservative to be effective if you're 100% stick by your guns all the time, because there is some go along to get along in a body of lawmakers, and walking that fine line is something some folks do better than others.
Speaking with Brandon Lewis of the Tennessee Conservative, moving on to the next story here. Tennessee bills blocking illegal aliens from obtaining professional licenses and requiring proof of citizenship for vehicle registry. That's finally been signed into law. And this is one of the bills put forward by Brent Taylor, we were just talking about.
Yeah, so I think these are good. I mean, there are a lot of things I wish they had done this session, but this one is, if you think about it, as you're looking at states that you want to go into, it's like if you can't speak English and read English, right now the bill that went through is that you can apply, but you'll get a 3-year unrestricted, non-renewable license, which means if you don't learn how to speak English within 3 years, you have to take it in English with no assistance. I think that makes Tennessee far less attractive to those individuals. If you're wanting to come here and start a construction business of any sort that requires a professional license, be a doctor, be anything that requires a professional license, you can't do it in Tennessee any longer. And this is one that they flip-flopped on. Like it used to be, you had to be a U.S. citizen. Then the Republicans voted that you could be an illegal alien. And then because they caught so much heat, they've gone back the other way. And this is them undoing their own mistake here, which most people don't remember. That goes down the memory hole. So they get all the credit for this. It's like you beat your wife and then you send her to the hospital, and then it's like one of those things. It's like, well, now we're going back again. And so it's one of those. It's I don't know. I'm glad that they've gone back to it, but to my knowledge, that's how it was before they had done it previously. So we'll see how that goes.
So hopefully they don't undo it again. Is what you're saying.
Yes.
I
don't know. You give it a few years. You could just sneakily do it and then redo it again and get credit for it 3 years. So there's some of that they could play around with, I suppose.
All right. Next bill I want to talk. This is one of those stories where it's sad that we had to do this in the first place. You've talked a lot about this, but the fact we had to do it, it was necessary. Governor signs bill prohibiting Tennessee teachers from sexual behaviors with prior students. So talk about this a little bit.
Well, it's one of those situations in Tennessee schools where you should love your students, but you can't love your students. Um, and it's been such a problem. I mean, this is again, it is one of those laws that makes you question whether your kids should be in government schools or not. Like if they're having to pass legislation, the only reason they'd have to pass legislation is if this is such a problem that it
Mhm.
is required, and apparently it is. And I don't think this is going to stop most people that have a penchant for this, but it might give them pause. But essentially, you've got to you got to leave your cheerleader alone for 12 months uh, after they graduate, and then probably get on Instagram. And as long as you're patient, you'll probably be in good shape. But if you're hasty, you could end up losing your license. You could be disciplined, things of that nature. So it's taking effect July 1. So I'm sure there are educators and coaches all through the Tennessee government school system that are now putting a big red X and then later a red circle on their calendar. But it is what it is. I guess that's a good thing. I don't know if it's a sad good thing is the best way I could put it.
Yeah, it's like you said, it's sad we have to do it, but apparently we have to do it. And then you have to make it really not just obviously you're not supposed to do it when they're in the school, but also right after that student leaves your class. Which I mean, if they couldn't wait, if they're doing it right after, it shows that something probably was going on while they were in the class. I think that's part of this. So very
Yeah,
interesting.
if nothing had been going on, wasn't going on, if it wasn't prevalent, this
Right.
would not be passing. So, it should give people pause. And it's amazing. I've got a friend of mine who lives up here on Signal Mountain that runs an organization that essentially researches like what happens in government schools. And they did a presentation on it recently, and it'll blow your hair back. Like it's like basically it's like reporting on this is what gets reported based on our research and our involvement because they go in to clean the messes up in
Mhm.
government schools. This is how often it happens when you see one
Wow.
case. It's like usually swept under the rug. The parents don't want to embarrass their
Yeah.
kids socially. And so they withdraw it. There's some internal discipline because the principal doesn't want it to be known. The teacher obviously doesn't want it to be known. The board of education doesn't want the public to know it. And so this stuff is far more prevalent than you think. And so I don't know how you fix a corrupt culture like this. And it's not only corrupt from a moral standpoint, it's corrupt from a performance standpoint. And the solution, I know the solutions. I could probably write them on the back of a cocktail napkin, but having the political will to enforce those is something I've not seen any sign of in Tennessee government.
So we got about a minute left, but I really did want to talk about this story. Apparently, Tennessee is set to provide Starbucks with $30 million in corporate welfare for relocating to, I think it's Nashville, right? And I mean, I like Starbucks, not gonna lie. I like a good cold brew at Starbucks, but the corporate welfare stuff drives me crazy because it's one of those things where what they're gonna say is, well, we have to do it, otherwise they'll go somewhere else. And it's like, can't we just have a positive business environment for everyone? And then that's it, but apparently not.
Yeah, three things that rub me wrong about this is number one is this company has values that are not aligned with Tennessee,
Mm-hmm.
and to give them conservative taxpayer money to promote everything that they promote as an organization, from global warming and environmental change to everything else that most Tennesseans don't agree with is disgusting. The second thing is that there are people right now that own independent coffee shops. Governor Lee's not going down to their coffee shop saying, "Here's
Right.
20 grand, buddy." And so they're taking money from the little independent coffee shops to give them to the corporate behemoths so the rich get richer
Yep.
and the small businesses don't. And then finally, you look at things where there was $240 million in this welfare given to Oracle. They hired 7 people. There's never been a clawback. Nothing's ever happened. And this happens time and time again when this
Yep.
money gets dumped into the laps of these corporations because the lobbyists go up there and spread money around. And Tennessee ends up holding the bag. Small businesses they get the shaft, and then these large corporations that don't agree with our values put their tentacles into our state. So this is a bad thing all the way around, and this is something Democrats don't like, and Republican and conservatives don't like,
Right.
but
That's true.
Republican leadership loves. And
Mhm.
that's it's one of those unifying issues. But people are so asleep at the wheel in Tennessee about what's going on in their state government. Nobody hardly could even tell you that this is happening.
Brendan Lewis is with the Tennessee Conservative. Read all this stuff at TennesseeConservativeNews.com. This interview, the video, the podcast will be up on the website tomorrow, TennesseeConservativeNews.com. Brandon, appreciate it. Talk to you again soon.
Talk to you, Yaffee. See you, man.